Welcome to the channel. For those of you who are new, this is not exactly an intro video. However, I'm going to cover some basics to begin with. First and foremost, I wanted to mention there's going to be some huge updates on this channel in the end. All of the subject matter is going to shift into spirituality. For those of you who are familiar with the channel, you'll know several years ago I started writing, and that was the basis, the bulk of this channel to start with. It was a sort of daily vlog of the challenge of trying to write a book for the first time. That was a really interesting experience, and all those videos are archived. They're going to be made into a playlist so that hopefully the new videos it'll be easier to access them. So on that note, last year when I shifted into my practice of spirituality in a major way, I was doing a lot of readings using my oracle cards on Facebook. There's some of those oracle card reading videos here on my channel as well. You can access those. But during that time, I received a channeled message from Spirit that I was supposed to teach a class on reading cards. So I did. All those videos were archived on Facebook. So I'm in the process now of downloading them so I can upload them here to this channel, and they will also be in their own playlist. So if you're new to particularly working with oracle cards, but even to some degree tarot cards, if you want to learn how to read cards that way, how to work with your intuition, definitely I would say check out that playlist, buy yourself a deck of cards, and follow along with our class. We had some amazing discussions. Most of the people who were regulars in this class are now reading cards for others. I mean, it's what they do, for a living or as a hobby, however, they approach it. But yeah, like it was powerful. So definitely, Emily is here. She says hello, but yeah, definitely check that out. Um, I hope to have that ready in the next 2 or 3 days. So on the note of Facebook, that is really the first part of this video and the reason for this post. I made a post on my Facebook earlier today putting that out there that people could ask me questions if they wanted, and I would be very transparent and answer whatever was asked. And so someone asked about my mentioning of the name Lucy. So that's what I'm going to get into in the first part of this video. And that's a long story. It may take me a little bit to get through all of it. Go back to what I said earlier about channeled writings, deciding that I was going to write a book. Well, I did. I wrote one. It's not published yet. I eventually started writing a second book. And during this time, it became very clear to me that a lot of the information in these books, it was channeled, like it was coming through on an intuitive level. So I received a very strong message during one of these channeled writings from the angel Uriel that I was going to be visited by Lucy. The name Lucy refers to Lucifer. For me in my own spiritual path, most of the spirits that I interact with, they come through to me in the feminine because that's just how I work. I'm more familiar with that gender as far as connecting with them and feeling like there's a balance and harmony energetically. It feels more natural to me. So there, hence the name Lucy. I have not stated this publicly on my Facebook, and a lot of those people who know me from Facebook and doing oracle card readings and teaching this class only know of my association to spirit. When I say spirit, I mean the goddess. My background as far as spirituality is concerned comes from a place of paganism, primarily Wicca, eclectic Wicca, mind you, because I wasn't working with the coven. I was a solitary practitioner. But yeah, that's the background on Lucy. But that only really scratches the surface because, as most of you watching this video will know, there's a lot of bias, even now in our society, concerning the name. So there are some things I felt like it was important to clarify before I went any further. I can tell you that for me, my interaction with Lucy has been very positive. She does not strike me as being any kind of negative or evil being that you would read about, in the Bible or certain religious traditions. There's been no fear or menace or anything like that. That's not to say, though, that she's not powerful. Her energy is very strong, very intense, and it's just me, personally, on my spiritual path. I approach the spirits and the beings that I work with. I try to always come from a place of humility and respect and sincerity. Um, so that's just how I roll. But yeah, my interactions with her thus far have been wonderful. I will go as far as to say that she has helped me a great deal on my path. That also ties into my tattoo, which I'm sure you can see, hopefully somewhat clearly via the webcam there. This is Lucy's or Lucifer's sigil. I'm not going to go into the history of where the sigil came from or any of that because it's happenstance. For me, I felt personally drawn to the sigil, and at this stage, I've done a dedication rite to Lucy, and to this path and being connected to her and working with her. And so it seemed natural to me to get this tattoo. Um, you probably can't see my other tattoo very well. I got that one 20 years ago when I started my path of paganism and learning about Wicca. So this has sort of been, these are echoes, I guess, a part of my path. Like I feel like tattoos are a very powerful part of a spiritual practice if you make them that way. I mean, they can just be ornamentation or flash if you choose to walk that direction. I mean, that's totally on you. For me, though, it's very personal, and I wanted this sigil, I wanted this mark. So I asked Lucy's permission, of course, before I got the sigil. Confirmation came through, and there again, it's been very powerful and very positive. So yeah, I wanted to answer that question in the beginning of this video and clear that up because I've made a lot of posts mentioning Lucy on Facebook, and no one had asked, and from my own personal, I just didn't feel that the time was right to get into that. But now the time is right because, there again, that connection with her is very powerful. We communicate every day. I'm going to get into that as we move forward into this video as well because that concerns channeling and also concerns reading the cards. So, but yeah, if you watching this video now have any further questions for me about my own experiences with Lucy, certainly drop a comment, let me know, and I'll be glad to answer what I can. There again, I'll be the first to say that we all approach and work with these divine beings in different ways. You yourself may connect to Lucy or Lucifer, and you may perceive things very differently than me. And if so, that's fine. That's you and your path. I have mine. Certainly, I'm not here to say that I can speak for Lucy. She hasn't said anything like that to me, and I would never presume to do so unless that message came through. So yeah, I think that covers that. The second part of this video, and I will try to make some kind of link or some kind of indication so that people who want to get to the heart of the second part of the video can easily skip to it. They may not want the backstory of the tattoo and all that. The second part of this video is something that has been on my mind for the past few days that I really wanted to touch on, and this is the notion of identity, particularly where it pertains to spirituality. And I'm just sort of winging this, so you have to bear with me, but I've noticed a trend on Facebook and some other spiritual circles that I'm involved in, where sometimes people have this tendency to say things like, oh, I'm a Pisces, and Pisces, here are the attributes for Pisces, and so these are qualities of me too, you know. First and foremost, I'm not saying that any of that's bad. There again, like everyone walks their own path, so, do what you think is right. I will say, though, I have learned on my own spiritual journey, the things that you say and the things that you believe are very powerful. Particularly what you say to other people, but also what you say to yourself, like that self-talk stuff. It can be very intense, and there's meaning to it. There's magic in that, and I feel like sometimes people aren't aware, because we're just so accustomed to saying things and having conversations, but I don't know that a lot of people are very mindful of that stuff, and it is powerful. Um, those of you who are watching this who practice magic or are, familiar to some degree with the subject matter, you'll know that if you focus on something, whether it's negative or positive, there is a tendency to draw it and to manifest it out into your reality. So there again, if you just because you are a certain sign, that doesn't mean inherently that you are forced into that box of, oh, I am this sign, therefore I have these qualities and I will always be this way. I feel like people limit themselves by these beliefs, and it deals a lot more with signs. I mean, it could be like, oh, I'm a banker, or I'm a good person. Particularly, the main thing that I wanted to point on here, it is not so much the good things, but it concerns the bad stuff. People will say, "Oh, well, I'm terrible at math." Maybe you're not that great at math. That doesn't mean that you lack the capacity to eventually learn how to do complicated math, for that matter, if you want to. But there again, if you believe and if you think that you are terrible at math, you will inherently be terrible, whether you actually are or not, because you're manifesting that truth inside yourself on an energetic level, and you're manifesting it out there in reality. So yeah, that's sort of the crutch of what I wanted to get onto as far as that's concerned. I do feel that it's dangerous, and I feel like it can be very limiting. And there again, I feel like it ties heavily into manifesting in different ways. Part of this is going to go off into something else. Like I was telling you before, I'm just sort of winging this video. I had some issues trying to record it, but on the note of your thoughts, how you perceive reality, there's a pretty popular YouTuber on here, and I'm not going to name names because there's no judgment here in what I'm about to say. But anyway, this person had made a live video, and I watched it the other night, and they were talking about how like there was just a lot of chaos, a lot of difficulty and strife going on in their life, and it became apparent to me in watching some of their videos, their recent videos that they put out. Like I could just hear it in the language. If you sit and listen to someone and pay attention to how they describe themselves and the world and their circumstances, it's really easy to sort of get an understanding of their worldview, like how they perceive things, on a deep level. And there again, your perceptions are so inherently powerful. If you try to move through life thinking these ideas like, oh, life is hard, or like life contains all these struggles, like, I mean, you're making those ideas concrete in your mind, but you're also to some degree manifesting some of that stuff out there in reality. Now, bear in mind, other people in reality are manifesting too, and they have free will, so it's messy and it's not perfect. You can stay in a state of thinking positive thoughts to some degree, or not shifting into the negative, and still run into obstacles. The important part here is when you do run into an obstacle, the greatest thing that you can do is be mindful in the situation. If you allow an obstacle to alter your vibration and your energy to a point that then you become angry or frustrated, or you're like, oh shit, like I don't want to deal with this, blah, 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 those things are going to continue to happen because it's a weird, I don't want to say elemental, it's just an energetic thing. Like the energy that we put out returns to us. And there's no one standing there with the intelligence of fixing it, of saying, oh yeah, they really don't want this bad stuff, I'm going to switch it for them. It doesn't work that way. It's all about us and our reactions. The more that you learn not to be reactionary, to strive to stay in a place where you can see an obstacle, view it, and deal with it without allowing that external thing to shift you on an internal, like emotional and psychological level, then you're stepping into a place where you can really start doing high and powerful magic. I'm getting cold chills now on this side of my body. For me, that's always a sign that spirit, or one of the spirits that I'm working with, is sending through energy and letting me know it's a confirmation. So yeah, I wanted to talk about those two things. I'm not certain if there was anything else that I wanted to cover in this video, but I do feel like, as I said before, that those two topics are interrelated, that they sort of lap over each other. So there again, if you are new to studying or practicing magic, I would definitely tell you, be mindful that you don't allow any thoughts or feelings or beliefs into your reality and awareness that don't serve you. The thing is, like, I could believe that my cat is a magical being and that she protects me when I sleep. And whether, the truth, quote unquote, the truth to some degree, especially where magic is concerned, is highly irrelevant because belief is insanely powerful. If I believe that about my cat, there may be an energetic aspect of her that is, in fact, protective over me as I sleep. So that's the thing. The truth of it is irrelevant. But if I believed an alternate thing about my cat, if I thought, oh, well, like she's actually some evil spirit that, is doing terrible things to me when I sleep, if I start believing something like that, I'm going to manifest that. That's not to say that my cat is then going to become evil, but I may draw those things, those energies to me one way or another because I've then allowed a belief into my subconscious mind and into my reality that doesn't serve me. So that's what I would say to you. No matter what path you walk, no matter how you practice it, be mindful of the things that you believe. Your beliefs can free you, they can empower you, but they can also to some degree limit you or enslave you. So it all depends on your approach. But I've found that to be very true. Um, there is another part. I'm going to get into this. This is going to be kind of long and rambling, so you just have to bear with me. One of the main reasons why I was drawn to talk about these things, aside from what I said about what I saw on that guy's post, is that the other day I was going back through and I was watching some of my older videos when I started on my spiritual path and I was trying to learn and figure some things out. And it became very clear to me in watching these videos that when I started, a huge part of myself was like this sort of side skeptic. It's like I was interested in magic and I sort of, on an intuitive level, I knew that a lot of this stuff was real. At the same time, like I was like those people who go out with the little boxes, and they're trying to catch the spirit on video or like on audio or something. There again, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that if that's what you want to do. For me, though, ultimately, that mindset and that sort of approach did not serve me at all. Actually, what it did is it made the process more difficult and frustrating, and it took me a lot longer to get to a place where I could actually start practicing real magic and connecting with and feeling spirits and stuff because I was so mentally closed off to the subject matter. But I saw in some of these videos, I started saying things like, well, now I'm open to this. I'm open to, experiencing stuff or hearing things or whatever. Like when I started that kind of dialogue, when I switched it from being questioning and doubting and all of that, when I switched it into being open to and being curious and interested, even that small switch, it wasn't about fully believing that it was real, but being open to perceiving things even, that's when the door opened. I'm getting more cold chills now. I mean, that's really when the switch was flipped and things started happening, and then I started moving forward. It wasn't long before I started getting messages from Spirit saying, you need to get your tarot cards out, or your oracle cards, I meant, and read. And so then I'm, trying to talk to Spirit, half believing that I'm actually talking to a spirit, and I'm like, I don't know how to read oracle cards. I mean, my deck didn't come with a book. Like, I have no training. How am I going to do this? Spirit kept saying to me, you can do it. Get these cards out, work with them, practice. Try to do a reading for someone else. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. I did. And eventually I got to the point that, yeah, like I can do it. I don't need a book. At this stage, I feel like I could read with any deck if Spirit was with me because for me and my practice and how I read cards, a lot of it is channeling. I always go into prayer before I start reading my cards and I call out to Spirit and I ask Spirit to help me with the reading. I also ask Spirit to speak through me when I'm giving a reading to someone else to make sure that they get the messages that they need to know. And I feel like because I approach that in a very humble and open way, I've opened that door for Spirit to really step through, to give me the information that they need, that person that I'm doing the reading for. So that's been the process. But yeah, that was my point. Didn't mean to get off on a long ramble. The more that if you're interested in magic and you want to connect to the gods, or you want to read tarot or oracle cards, or you want to do magical rituals and have supernatural experiences, you have to be willing to some degree to set aside that ego mind. Now I know some magical practitioners who are very logical. Some people. I watched a video the other day. I'm not going to name another name, although this lady seems very interesting. She talks about the fact that she will do a ritual sometimes 10 or 11 times or more in a row to make sure that the results that she receives from her rituals are not simply coincidence or whatever. So I know that some people approach it that way. I can only speak for myself and my own experience in saying, for me, stuff like that, too much doubting, too much ego mind, it was a hindrance. It did not serve me whatsoever. It actually slowed me down. And that's one of the things that I taught those students in that class. There again, teaching this class, it was Spirit. Spirit told me to teach this class. And before each class, I asked Spirit to step in so that I could channel the information that these students needed when they learned how to read cards for themselves. So, yeah, I've rambled on a whole lot, but I hope if you're still watching this at this point that you found some useful information and all that. And there again, if you've never read oracle cards or tarot cards or anything like that before, but you're interested in the subject matter, do check out this playlist that I'm talking about. There's power in these classes that we're taught, and there again, this is not an ego thing. This is not at all about me. Spirit, moves as Spirit decides to move. Um, if there is any praise to be given, it is to Spirit, definitely on that. Having said that, Spirit is speaking now and saying, if you want to learn how to read these cards, take this class, be serious about it, go through each and every one of the videos, do the exercises that we did, obviously get yourself a deck of some kind and practice and work with it. If you put the energy and the effort into doing this, all of us have these intuitive abilities, and you can learn to read cards just as I did. Without a book, without any specialized training, you don't have to spend any money. This class is free. Spirit told me when I was told to teach this class, it was during a time when I was told all these spiritual services that you're putting out there into the universe and in the world, you're not supposed to charge for them. And so at that time I didn't. Now some things have shifted in my life. I'm at a place where Spirit has said it's okay for you to charge for the readings that you do, unless someone is, in dire need and they can't afford it, and then help them anyway, you know. So, but yeah, do check out that playlist. It'll be called Intuitive Development Class, and you'll be able to find it on my profile. I would say within the next 2 days, it'll be there, so you'll have access to it. So yeah, I think that's about the end of my ramble. Like I said, I'm going to be uploading some more videos on spirituality in general. Probably they will not be as rambling and as scattered as this one has been. But there again, if you want to hear more about my own experience, my own path and connection with Spirit and Lucy and that whole thing, definitely click on the subscribe button and also click on that little bell because that way you get notifications when new videos are uploaded. One of the things that came through to me from Spirit and Lucy recently, I know at least definitely it has come through from Lucy, is that I need to start doing, a video a day, or at least a video every other day. And so there's going to be a lot of content coming to this channel. So there again, if you're interested, click on the thing there below and subscribe and leave me a comment. A big part of this for me is about being able to interact and have discussions with my viewers. I don't know if any of my videos in the future will be live streamed, like on YouTube or not. But either way, we can still have a discussion and share ideas. So yeah, that's my long ramble. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for your time and attention. Yeah, I will speak with you soon. Have a good night.